Hi, everyone. We're joining you here from Austin, Texas, from the English Language Center at the University of Texas at Austin. It's a beautiful day here. Austin is in the lower center part of Texas, and we've got in here information that we're going to give you today about our program, the English Language Center. I've got this over there. We have classes, or we have programs both online and in person. Our online classes are for students to learn about pronunciation, speaking, writing, and we have a special thing for International Academy. It's a 4-week program where students can learn English and also have some academic classes from UT professors and PhD students. We also have lots of in-person classes for intensive English courses, for general English, and also academic English for graduate school. And then we have our special elective test prep classes, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. We have classes in TOEFL, IELTS, and GRE. And so I'm happy that I can hand off to Tracy Frank, who is our TOEFL teacher, so that she can tell you more about the TOEFL class and, more importantly, some strategies for doing well on the TOEFL writing tasks. All right, take it away, Tracy.
Okay, hi everyone. So the first thing I want to say is I wish I were greeting you in person here in Austin, because the weather right now is absolutely gorgeous. I want to show you a picture I took while I was walking across campus yesterday. Here we go. Okay, so you can see there's the sign that says landscape work in progress. Please do not enter. But look at how many students ignored the sign. This person brought their chair. So it was just an absolutely gorgeous day yesterday and today. And I hope that some of you will come to Austin. I hope some of you will come and study English with us. We would be delighted to have you. Now let's switch gears and talk about TOEFL, specifically TOEFL writing. Do my slideshow. Okay, here we go. And first, I've been teaching our TOEFL elective class for many, many years. In fact, I don't even remember how many years it's been. Ever since the iBT was new, and I have seen all of the common student weak points, or I call them pitfalls, and I've collected these strategies to share with you. So this presentation is going to be for those of you who know nothing about iBT writing tasks from zero, but also this is for students who've already taken the iBT once, twice, maybe even 3 times or more. I know there are some of you out there that have probably taken it a lot. And you'll get some benefit, I promise you, from this presentation. Strategies for success. So there are 2 tasks. The first task is called the integrated writing. It's 20 minutes. Whether you have 20 minutes to actually write, there's some other parts I'll tell you about in a minute. But the time you have for writing is 20 minutes. Then task 2 is the independent writing task, and you have 30 minutes to write. The independent task is the most familiar. If you are taking a writing class, if you've taken a writing class in the past, this is the academic essay, the 4 or 5 paragraph essay. Introduction, body, and conclusion. The integrated task is the one that's probably not covered in your writing class. So that's unique to the iBT. For both of these writing tasks, you will be given a holistic score. And that means that everything, your grammar, your language, your organization, all of it is is scored with one number from 0 to 5, a holistic score. It will be scored, each writing task will be scored by one human rater and then one e-rater, a machine score. And if they are really, really different, a second human rater will score your writing task. So the top score is a 5. Let's move on. Now, I'd like to give you an overview of task 1, the integrated writing task. First, on your screen, you will see an academic passage. It's an excerpt from a textbook, undergraduate level textbook. It will be several paragraphs, not as long as the reading passages in the reading section. Those are about 700 words, but it could be 3 paragraphs, definitely more than 1. You have 3 minutes to read, and you need to understand the main idea, not just the general topic, but the writer of the passage's position on the topic. It will be either thumbs up or thumbs down, positive or negative. You need to understand what the writer's position is and look for 3 key points. You really need to get those 3 points so that you can do well on this task. Then on your screen, the reading passage goes away and you'll see a picture of a professor, a speaker, and you will listen to a lecture for about 2 minutes. You're listening for the connections. How are they integrated? How are the reading and the listening connected? The professor, the speaker, will respond to each of the key points in the reading. And it will always be the opposite position. If the reading is all positive, then you know that the professor is going to have a negative viewpoint. And the opposite, if the reading is all negative, the professor, the speaker, will have a positive viewpoint and disagree with each point made in the reading. So reading, listening, then after the lecture is finished, the reading comes back. You will see the reading again on your screen. And that will be on one side, on the left, and then on the right, you will have a text box. That's where you're going to write. You have 20 minutes. ETS says that an effective response is between 150 and 225 words. What do you need to include to be successful? You need to present a summary of the key points in the listening passage. The question always begins with, how does the listening relate to the reading passage? So you start with the reading, with the listening, but you need to understand the key points in the reading as well, so you can connect them. You need to say how each listening key point connects to the reading key point. So what does that look like in terms of notes? Strategy number, so that was the overview. Now we're into the strategies. Strategy number 1, take notes. You absolutely must take notes. It's too much to remember. And this is also a very important step in helping you to understand the content. So put a line in the middle of your paper. ETS will give you paper and pencil. You will have the opportunity to take notes for every part of the iBT. So you must take notes. First, for the reading, even though the reading is going to come back after the lecture finishes, you don't have time to reread. You don't want to use any time to try to catch those points in the reading. You need to catch those, the 3 minutes that you have for reading and taking notes. So what's the reading topic? And not just the general topic, but the position. So the advantages of something or the disadvantages of something. And then key point 1, if you're lucky, there will be exactly 3 and you will understand all 3 and you will write something briefly for those 3. This is really super important to catch these 3 points because it lets you predict what you're going to hear in the lecture. If you catch key point 1, then you know that the speaker is going to have the opposite viewpoint and disagree with that first point. Then when you listen, you're going to listen for the professor's response to each reading point. So the reading says, homeschooling, thumbs up, because of social reasons. Then the professor will say the opposite. For example, let's take a look at some ETS notes. This comes from the ETS website, sample notes. Okay, so for this material, the reading was about the benefits of computerized voting. So voting not on paper, but on the computer. And these are the 3 key points in the reading passage. First, computerized voting would reduce mistakes by people when they vote. Then the second key point. So the voters, fewer mistakes. The second key point, it would reduce mistakes people make when they count. So after the voting is finished, then the votes are counted. And whoever is counting the votes, if they're counting by hand, not on computer, they can make mistakes. So computers are better. The reading is saying it's better for computers to count, not people who can make mistakes. Third point, the reading says it's not any riskier than other common electronic transactions like banking, e-banking. So the reading is very enthusiastic about computerized voting. So you know that the listening is going to be the opposite. It's always going to be some contrast. Let's take a look at the listening notes and see how they connect to the reading. The professor in the beginning will say, hold on here, let's not be so quick to accept this information in the reading, and it may not be valid. So the professor, the speaker, will disagree in some way. And the first point the professor makes is that people may not be familiar with computers, and so they might vote incorrectly. So, whoops, go back. There we go. Okay, so the professor is saying computers could be risky for voters because people not comfortable with technology may decide not to vote at all, or they may make a mistake when they're voting because of their stress using computers. So that is the argument against key point 1 from the reading. And then here, this looks like 2 different points, but it's really A and B. It's really 2 parts of the professor's disagreement with key point 2 in the reading, which was counting the votes by hand. Humans counting them could be problematic. Mistakes may be made. The professor says computers can also make mistakes counting votes if programmed poorly. A human has to program that computer. So this is a problem. And then the professor follows up with, if there is a problem with counting the votes, who will know? There's no way to check. There's no written record. It's in cyberspace, it's gone. So this is problematic, the counting of votes. Then in response to the reading point about it's not risky, we all use online services for banking, we are all comfortable with e-banking, but the professor says banking is a very common activity. People use banking, computers for banking every day, perhaps. And voting is only once or twice a year. So it may be riskier because it's not so common. So those are the ETS notes. Now I want to show you what my own notes might look like. Here are my somewhat messy notes. I want to share some of my note-taking strategy with you. I often write just the first syllable of the word. Instead of benefits, I just write ben. I only need to remember the content of my notes immediately after. If I look at my notes next week or next month, I'm thinking, what was I writing? What was that? I don't need to remember it in the future, just immediately after. So I may write the first syllable. I'll take out vowels. Instead of computer, I'll take out the vowels here. And again, first syllable. Benefits of computer voting, computerized voting. Reduce the X is my symbol for mistakes. Reduce mistakes when people vote. And then I'm using reduce again. I don't want to write the whole word, just the first syllable. Reduce mistakes when counting the vote. Whenever I reduce the syllables, I put a period to show myself that I deleted something. And finally, computer voting is equal to e-banking. There's an equal risk. Those are my notes for the reading. And then my listening notes, I'm going to write across from the reading point. It's possible that the first point that the professor makes could be point number 2 in the reading. So listen carefully. You might put the first point discussed by the professor here, not here. Match it with the reading key point. And then you have this nice form, note form of columns, vertical orientation. So it's easy to look at these notes while you're writing. Let's move on. And so you've got your notes. Now the reading comes back and you have your text box to type your response. Always start with your topic statement. Let's look at a sample question. How does the listening cast doubt on the information presented in the reading? TOEFL loves this verb phrase. The integrated writing task loves this question. It's probably going to be on your test. How does the listening cast doubt? To cast doubt on means, hold on, let's question that. That's not necessarily true. We need to be skeptical. We need to question that and not accept what the reading said. Here are some other verbs that could be in your integrated writing task question, or that you could use in your topic statement. How does the listening challenge, contrast with, differ from, oppose, contradict, refute the information presented in the reading? It will always be, how does the listening disagree in some way with the reading? So I have a template for you. If you like to use templates, it's not the only one. You can get a high score writing a different style of topic statement, but I promise you this will always be effective. It will always be good, meaning it will include what the task requires. Let's look at the template. The reading passage either introduces, presents, is about, the slashes are to give you some choices, is about, and then the topic of the reading is about the benefits of computerized voting. Be careful here, guys. Don't just say about computerized voting. That's too general. You need to include the position, whether it's positive or negative. So the benefits or the advantages of computerized voting, comma, and the listening And now you can just plug in the verb from the question, casts doubt on, or you can choose a synonym. Opposes or contradicts, refutes, I like that verb, refutes this information. And then this information means the information in the reading by, and now you can pick a gerund, explaining, presenting, discussing, describing, and then the topic of the listening. The risks of computerized voting. So why is this an effective topic statement? It shows very clearly that you understand the main idea of the reading. You understand the main idea of the listening, and you understand how they're connected. One sentence topic statement. It's not an essay like in task 2. Just no hook, nothing else, just start directly with your topic statement, and you may use that template. Okay, next. So topic statement, that was strategy number 2. Strategy 3, now you've got your topic statement, you need to decide how to organize your response. There are 2 ways you may organize it. Whichever way you choose, you'll always just start with your topic statement. And here's a possible topic statement on the computerized voting material. The reading presents arguments in favor of computerized voting, and the listening challenges this information by explaining the risks of computerized voting. So there you go. Now, you may choose block organization. Either way you organize, you're going to always start again with your topic statement. And then you would, in your second paragraph, and these can be short paragraphs, the main idea of the reading and the key points. And be brief. Do not spend a lot of time summarizing the reading. It's not the most important part of your response in the block style response. And it's tempting because the reading is right there next to you, next to your text box. But make it brief, because the third paragraph is the critical one for getting a high score. The main idea of the listening and the key points, 1, 2, 3, hopefully you caught all 3, and how they connect to the reading. This is the most important paragraph. So if you're not sure, what are all 3 points? How do they all match up? If you're not sure, then choose block organization so that you can present what you did catch. If you don't want to write a conclusion, if you don't have time rather for a conclusion, don't even worry about it. You do not have to have a conclusion, which could be just 1 sentence. The parentheses mean optional. You can get a high score. I promise you, you can get a high score without a concluding sentence. When the iBT was new, I double checked this by emailing someone in the writing section of the TOEFL and confirmed you do not have to have a concluding sentence. Okay, so you want to include everything you can catch, all the key points. If you're lucky, if it's clearly organized, you catch those 3 points in the reading, the corresponding 3 points in the listening, you know how each is connected, choose point by point, starting with your topic statement. And then, excuse me, back to the notes where you've got your arrows linking everything up. You just use your notes and write a few sentences for each point. Be careful not to copy from the reading. That will give you a lower score. So you need to use your own words. You need to include all 3 points from the reading and the lecture. If you have any points missing, your score will be reduced. So choose block or point by point. Next strategy. Strategy 4, say where the information comes from. According to the reading or the author, comma. And then maybe the first key point from the reading. The reading states that. The second point. Then when you're presenting points from the lecture, you may begin. The professor, however, to show signal contrast, believes that computerized voting may be risky because there's no paper trail, for example. Or the speaker contends or argues, these are good verbs to use, that. And then the point that the speaker makes in disagreement with a point in the reading. For the third point, the speaker goes on to say that and present the third point from the lecture and how it disagrees with the reading. So be sure to make it clear where the information comes from. And finally, last but absolutely not least, probably the most important strategy, strategy 5, take 2 minutes to edit. Don't worry too much about your word count. That is not the priority. It's quality over quantity. The more mistakes you have, the lower your score will be. Or conversely, the fewer mistakes you make, the higher your score. So just make yourself stop. Even if you're in the middle of a sentence, give yourself 2 minutes to check grammar, spelling, capitalization, punctuation, spacing, all the little things. Check your vocabulary. Be sure that you have the correct word, correct usage. Also, be sure that you have not copied from the reading, or at least as much as possible. Don't copy from the reading. Use your own words, paraphrase. For sentence variety, not only do you need correct sentence structure, but you need sentence variety. This is more important than most students realize. The vocabulary in the sentence variety. Simple, compound, complex sentences, parallel structure, guys, makes your writing more sophisticated, more advanced, and raises your score. So complex sentences with subordination, adverb clauses, adjective clauses, noun clauses, a variety of sentence structures, including complex with subordination. And I really promise you, you can raise your score more in 2 minutes editing than just adding one more sentence or adding a concluding sentence. This is the priority. Now let's look at very quickly, and this is recorded so you all can watch this presentation later and take your time reading these sample responses. Here is a score 5. This comes from the ETS website. A really well-written response for the integrated writing task. It's well organized. The content is very effective, meaning it includes the 3 points from the reading, the corresponding points from the lecture, and how the professor disagreed with the reading. Also, a high level of accuracy in language use with only minor errors. Your writing absolutely doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, you can probably see quickly right here, the word everyone is spelled wrong. It's a typing error. It does not have to be perfect, but the errors should be minor. The errors in this response do not interfere with comprehensibility. It's easy to follow. It's easy to understand what the writer wants to say, only minor errors. And this is point by point. Starts with a topic statement, which is not the same as my template, but as I've said, it's not the only way to do it. It's my gift for you today, that template for the topic statement. If you're not sure how to start, certainly there are many ways you can start with many ways to write your topic statement. Then there are 3 paragraphs, point by point organization for the 3 points in the reading and the listening, and a short conclusion. And this is, actually, I don't remember the word count on this, but it's probably not more than 225 words. Actually, you might be surprised to know this. The raters are not counting your words. They don't know exactly how many words you have in your written response. They're looking at effective development. If you have sufficient support and development, then you will automatically have a good word count. So there's the sample response. Now let's look at the pitfalls. So as I said at the beginning, I've been teaching a iBT TOEFL class for many years, and I've kept a list of the pitfalls that students make. The pitfalls, you can see here, be careful, don't fall in the hole. The common mistakes that strategy mistakes that students make in their written response for integrated writing. Copying from the reading. It's so tempting. The reading is right there. Don't do it. There may be some keywords that you can't use a synonym for. That's okay, but don't copy sentence structure. Change it as much as you can. And the main one, it's only 20 minutes. So the big challenge is time management. Poor time management manifests in this way. In the block organization, not enough time for the paragraph about the listening. Big strategy mistake. That's the most important paragraph. Really keep that reading summary short if you're using block style. Point by point. Not enough time for the final point of comparison, the third point. And the biggest pitfall, not leaving time to edit. So you'll see the time on your computer screen. Monitor the time. Don't get caught with no time to edit. So those are the pitfalls. Moving on to the second task, the independent writing task. Here's a quick overview. This is the standard academic essay. It will be 4 to 5 paragraphs. And here's what I recommend. A 2-sentence introduction. You're not going to have time to write this lovely funnel introduction that you may be writing in. You don't have time for a super long, well-developed introduction. So 2 sentences only, and I'll talk about more what those 2 sentences will be. 2 to 3 body paragraphs. And I strongly recommend for most student writers, unless you're very advanced, only 2 body paragraphs, and I'll explain why. You can get a higher score often with 2 than 3. Then, what else do you need to know about the independent essay, the independent writing task? It's an academic package, means the presentation, the organization, the language that you use. It's very academic as you present it to the reader, but it may include very personal content. You often need to use I. In your writing class, you may be learning, don't use I, first person. That's not academic. But for the TOEFL writing tasks, you need to write about your own life, your own experience. You need to use I for personal content. Remember, this is not a test of your academic knowledge. This is a test of your writing, your academic writing ability. And ETS says that a high-scoring independent writing task is 300 or more words. But if you have 295 and they're good words, effective words, you can get a high score. So I think most students really, really worry about that word count. It's not the priority to be concerned about. And by the end of the strategies for independent writing, I hope you will believe me, the word count is not your priority or priority concern. Let's move on. Okay. Oh. Strategy number 1. First, slow down. I know you only have 30 minutes. It's very, very stressful, but you absolutely have to slow down and read the prompt or the essay question. You need to decode it And that means you need to understand 100% what you're required to do. Let's look at a sample prompt. Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Always telling the truth is the most important consideration in any relationship. Use specific reasons and examples to support your answer. So, what do you need to extract from that prompt? Before you start writing, you need to know what you're required to write about. Almost always, it will be your opinion. Do you agree or disagree? Or it will be your preference. Maybe, would you prefer A or B? Studying alone or studying in a group? And you need to choose your preference. That's the first thing, figuring out, what you need to write about. Next, how are you going to organize your body paragraphs? Just about every writing prompt I've seen for task 2 ends with, as you can see here, use specific reasons and examples to support your answers. It will be reasons and examples or reasons and details, but you will always have reasons here. This is the support you're required to provide. And notice, guys, that it's plural, reasons, so at least 2 reasons, examples, at least 2 examples. The easiest way to organize when you need to give reasons is a body paragraph for each reason. So again, it's not the only way to organize it, but it will always be good because it will always provide what the task requires. So 2 body paragraphs, body paragraph 1, reason 1, body paragraph 2, reason 2. And then after you have your reasons, what additional kind of support do you need? Examples. And often excellent examples are anecdotes, little stories about your personal experience or about your family or your friends. So this is sometimes called the personal essay as well. You absolutely need to use your own life, your own experience as a source of support for many of the questions. So great examples are anecdotes from your life and also details. That's the type of support that you need. Strategy number 2, write an essay map. And as I mentioned with the integrated writing, you always have paper. You can always take notes. Many people recommend, many TOEFL teachers recommend writing an outline on your paper in pencil, which you could do, but I want to save you time. A great strategy to combine outlining, planning with getting some content on the screen is to type. Just start typing your essay map. 4 sentences, just 4 for the map. This is the plan. Let's take a look at what the essay map should include. For your introduction, remember I said you should write 2 sentences only, no more. You don't have time for more than that. It's not a good use of your time. So start with a hook, a general hook. Catch the reader's interest. Introduce the topic. And then the second sentence will be your thesis statement, where I would prefer, I agree with the statement, I disagree with the statement, where you state your opinion or your preference. That's your thesis statement. And then hit the return key 2 times, return, return. Now you're going to type the full sentence for body paragraph 1, topic sentence. This is the main idea for the first body paragraph. So one reason is that, why Do I prefer studying in a group? One reason is that 3 heads are better than one. Talk about sharing knowledge. That could be one. And that's all, just the topic sentence, no more, not yet. You're making a plan. It's like an outline, but it's on the screen. So again, return key 2 times. Now you're going to type your topic sentence for your second body paragraph. Another reason is that, and you give your second reason. You have a map. You can take a breath, not relax. You can never relax in the writing section. You can never relax in any section of the iBT, but you can feel good. I have a plan. I know what my 2 reasons are. I have transitions here for my topic sentences. And you can say first, comma, second, comma, or also. You should use some transition, some signal at the beginning of each topic sentence, but you can feel confident. You know where you're going. And that's your essay map. Then moving on, for a tip about the topic sentences. And this is where many students have trouble with the topic sentences, knowing, how to give 2 really clearly different reasons. Students that don't make a plan may have 2 body paragraphs, but the second reason is really a continuation of the first one. It's not clearly different. So to help you think of 2 clearly different reasons, think of a category or an aspect of each reason, maybe, a political aspect, a social aspect, an economic factor. This will help you have just general category or aspect for each reason, for each body paragraph. And this is what you should do in your map. Plan this. Let's take a look at this prompt from a past TOEFL test. Some university students prefer living in campus housing, such as dormitories. Other students prefer living in off-campus housing, such as apartments. If you were faced with this decision, which of these 2 options would you choose? So your preference. Use specific reasons. There's reasons. And already you're thinking reason 1, reason 2, and details to support your choice. Here are 2 possible topic sentences for the 2 body paragraphs. The first reason I would prefer living on campus is that there would be many social benefits. So there's a social reason. This is part of the map. And then the second topic sentence, also, I would rather live in a dormitory for economic reasons. And maybe the support would be, I don't need a car, so I don't have to spend a lot of money on parking and gas and so on. Other reasons why living in a dorm would be to your economic advantage. So those are examples of using categories or aspects of the topic. Moving on. Okay, and here is now a complete sample essay map. Here's another sample prompt from a past TOEFL test. In general, people are living longer now. Discuss the causes of this phenomenon. Use specific reasons, think 2 reasons, and details to develop your essay. So this is one where it's not really the personal essay. You have to talk about the causes or the reasons why people live longer now. And this map is from my students from a past TOEFL class. They worked in a group and they combined the best of several different essay maps to come up with this one. A good hook may be a question that can be very effective as your hook. What is the secret to people living longer now? That will catch the reader's interest. And then the thesis statement. There are 2 main reasons why life expectancy is longer now than in the past. And notice here the synonyms or paraphrase of the question. The writer uses life expectancy instead of living longer. That makes it higher level using your own words. First body paragraph, topic sentence. One reason is that many people are living a healthier lifestyle. So it's about lifestyle. By eating a better diet and exercising more often than people did in the past. So we know that this writer is going to have two parts, A and B, in this paragraph about eating a better diet, eating more fruits and vegetables, eating organic food, and so on. Maybe eating a vegan diet, organic meat, perhaps. So lots you could write about of eating a healthier, better diet and exercising more. Many people are walking more and taking exercise classes. That would be easy to support with up, maybe 7 or 8 sentences for this paragraph. That would be a strong paragraph with lots of details, what the question requires. Second body paragraph. In addition to choosing a healthier lifestyle, development of medicine has also contributed to longer lifespans. And again, notice longer lifespans, not exactly the same words. Paraphrase, use synonyms when you can. Let's look at this transition phrase. You could just say in addition, comma, or also, moreover, or second, that would be fine. But this is a little bit better to use this prepositional phrase. Remember, there's going to be many sentences supporting this topic sentence, 7 or 8 maybe. So when the reader gets to body paragraph 2, this is very nice for coherence. Healthier lifestyle, that's a summary phrase for the topic of the body paragraph above. That's really nice for coherence. Okay, so there is the map. Okay, strategy 3, develop each body paragraph. And here's what you need to do to get a good score with all your supporting sentences, your paragraph, your body paragraphs, the 2 of them, unified, one controlling idea. Don't turn left, don't turn right, just go straight. Support your topic sentence. Academic writing in English is very linear, and everything must be unified, meaning all the support connects to the topic sentence. Coherent, use transitions, logical order. It's easy for the reader to follow from one sentence to the next. Their eyebrows are not doing this, like, why does that sentence come here? It flows, it's well organized and coherent. Now I want to talk again about why the word count is not the most important thing. Your writing should be concise. Doesn't mean short. Concise means, as I explain it to my students, maximum meaning, minimum number of words. So it doesn't mean short sentences. Your sentences should be some short, some medium, some long. You should have variety again. But what this means, concise writing means that there's nothing extra. Every word is doing its job. Nothing could be removed without removing meaning. And the more concise your writing is, the stronger it is, and the higher your score will be. Also, not just 7 or 8 supporting sentences, but effective sentences, sufficient and effective support. According to the prompt, you have to provide the type of development, the type of support that the question requires. So that goes back to strategy 1, decode the prompt. You should know exactly what kind of support you need. Moving on. Oops. Okay, strategy 4, write a very brief conclusion. Do not feel like I must have 2 sentences. It would be nice to have at least 2 sentences, and this is what you might write. So begin with a transition signal, and I know at the ETS website and other TOEFL websites and in your writing textbooks, you can look at several different signals. In conclusion, to sum up, all in all, different signals you could use to begin your conclusion. Restate the thesis statement. And guys, don't just copy paste your thesis statement. If you're going to do that because you're desperate and you think you need to have something there, don't write a conclusion at all. It will not help your score at all to just copy and paste the thesis statement, same words, same structure, and put it for your conclusion. It would be better to just skip your conclusion. You can still get a good score even without a conclusion if everything else is good. And then in parentheses and with a final comment, this could be the second sentence, optional. If you have time for just one, restate your thesis statement. If you have time for two, make a final comment. Or just skip it and go to strategy 5, the same as with integrated writing. Check everything: grammar, spelling, capitalization, punctuation, spacing. Check your vocabulary. Not only correct usage, but also be sure that you're using academic words. So instead of get, maybe obtain, acquire, use more formal language. That will help your score, I promise you. And again, the sentence variety, not all one type. Even if your sentence structure and your grammar is perfect, if you don't have any complex sentences, if you don't have any subordination, your score will go down. Coherence. Always think about coherence. Is it organized? Do you use transitions effectively? And remember, always, the fewer mistakes, the higher your score. Getting 300 words is not the magic way to get a high score. You may have well over 300 words and not get a high score. It depends on the quality. Okay, moving on. Here is, and you can read this over if you want to view the video, you could read this over. The sample score, sample 4 score. Okay, and let's see, Ellen, how am I doing for time?
You have just about 3 or 4 more minutes.
Okay, so here is the sample score for response, and it's 345 words, and there are 2 body paragraphs. I was so excited when I found this because it's the strategy I recommend, and it got a high score. A 4 is a great score. There are small errors, but overall it's well written, well developed. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, I'm not in slide view. There's part 2, second body paragraph, short conclusion. Moving on quickly to the pitfalls. This is probably the main pitfall I've seen, where students just use the same memorized phrase, whatever the question is. Every single essay, every prompt, they start the response with a memorized phrase. So I've seen hooks like this. Currently, there's a great debate on zoos. Well, people have different opinions about zoos. Are they ethical or not? But is there a great debate on zoos right now? Maybe not. That might not be the most effective choice. So be careful. Don't just memorize one way to start, one hook. Don't always start with a question. Don't always start with a certain phrase. Match your hook to the prompt. I think these are the only 2 I really want to mention, and then we should stop so I can answer some of your questions. With topic sentences, so this is going back to the map and why that's such a useful strategy. Often student topic sentences are problematic for 2 reasons. First, too general. Basically, another introduction, like another hook. Go directly to that first reason. don't introduce it, just go directly in the body paragraph. So that's one problem, just too general, kind of like a new introduction. And then the opposite, too specific. It may be beautiful grammar and word choice and sentence structure, a perfect detail sentence, but too narrow, too specific to be the controlling idea for a full body paragraph. And I think I'm going to stop there. Let me just show you quickly the last slide. These are some resources I used to prepare this presentation. And I'm going to stop sharing now so I can answer any questions. And Ellen, I guess you'll need to share the questions with me.
So I guess the question that we just have a few minutes left. So I'm just ask one question. Of those strategies, which ones do you think is the most important?
Editing, editing, and editing.
That's what I was thinking. Strategy number 5, right?
Yeah, strategy number 5 for both. Because honestly, you can raise your score more effectively with 2 minutes of editing than with just adding more words.
That's what I was thinking. All right. Thank you, Tracy, for all of that, all those great information and details. I'm glad that students can pause as you're watching the video to be able to read things more carefully. I want to wrap up by showing this information about our program one more time for those people who joined us after we started. So we are the English language program at UT Austin. We have programs both online and in person, and we hope that you will join us in one way or another. And in a moment, we're going to put the website up in the chat on Facebook so that you can see that. And let's see, here we go. Austin, as we were saying, has some gorgeous weather here. We've got lovely wildflowers blooming and some nice fountains and things like that. We hope that you will join us here in Austin sometime in the future. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let me check to make sure we've got a chance to put the website up.
Thank you,
have more
everyone.
questions, please contact us at the website or through our Facebook things, and we'll go from there. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Let me stop.